next reader, we're delighted and fortunate to have her all the way from England, is Traci O'Dea. She is an editor on Smartish Pace and the author of 2 poetry collections, Waving and Restricted Movement. And you have copies here? Great. Her writing can be found at BBC Radio Jersey, Poetry, Literary Matters, the Hopkins Review, all estimable journals, the Jersey Evening Post, the Goethe Institut, and elsewhere. She has 2 master's degrees in creative writing from Johns Hopkins University, and she serves as an editor, as I said, for Smartish Pace and MOKO, Caribbean Arts and Letters. Please welcome her, Traci O'Dea.
Is there any beer left?
Yeah.
Could you just, I'm sorry, my mouth just got really dry.
You're good.
Yes, I came from the UK, but no, I don't have an accent, as you can tell. So I met some guy earlier who was from Dieppe, France, which isn't far from where I live in the Channel Islands. And I have a poem that's set in Dieppe, so I thought, well, I'll read that first. It's from my book, Waving. No sand, but these soft stones don't hurt. The rough tide tumble made their edges round. I drop my sandals by a stylish group of topless moms and kids and turn off tourist tough. Then shake my towel atop the rocks, sit down, peel off my dress, exposing a giraffe print 2-piece number that I bought in town. I used my card to dodge exchange rate math. The act would change if she were here with me. It'd be a joke, like flashing for a beer. Not that I've ever done that. Or it would be a tease if you were here, more intimate. Instead, I can just be. With eyes on the horizon line, I reach behind me, squeeze the clasp. My back is bare in a wink, then shoulders, chest. No local stare. 2 more misshapen spheres on the beach. A wave collapses on the shore. A crack of first contact, then sizzle through the stones back to the sea, like blank cassette playback or frying bacon fat. I call them stones, but half of them are sea-bleached skeletons, grooved brain coral, elk horn, gorgonians. I guess how bright they once had been, dressed to impress, stuck to one spot of undersea terrain. So that's the last one from that book. You don't have to clap. You can clap at the end. It just gives me more time to read. So this book is called Restricted Movement, and I'm really glad that John's poems were about art as well, because this book is a collaboration of me and my dad, who's a painter. And the publisher, Scotland Street Press, was very generous, and they agreed to print a bunch of my dad's paintings in here. It's also about my dad. So during the pandemic, my dad just started disappearing. He is a relapsed heroin addict, and he didn't really understand what was going on with the pandemic because he has mild dementia, and he kept ODing all the time. So this is a book about that. It is funny sometimes. The first one is the title poem called Restricted Movement, and it's a blank verse on it. No order tells my dad what he can't do. You'd think he'd be the one most used to it, but prison didn't break him, only made him value freedom more. He disappears for days to prove the laws do not apply to him. Each time, my heart sours. A fizz like blue-green algae film on stagnant pond. Neighbors ask if he's okay. He's fine, I lie, or maybe it's a prayer. I try to recollect what it was like before, what I worried about. Earlier still, my whole childhood he spent in jail. I slept just fine back then. I never dreamt of him. You'd think I'd be the one most used to it. There's another painting. So a lot of the poems scattered throughout are poems directly addressed to Dad, called Dear Dad poems. Dear Dad, rehab released you and put you on a plane to Baltimore during lockdown. You lied. You said you could stay at Uncle Kenny's house. You have no idea that everything is closed, that Uncle Kenny is at risk, his wife more so. You turned up at his door despite him saying no. He let you sleep one night, then took you to the train. That was 4 days ago. I wonder if you'll show up dead, in jail. I get the call. You're in ER after an overdose, awake and in a private room. We talk each day for 3 days straight. 3 days of normalcy, of chats about my poetry, of getting you to paint again, reminding you that I have all your things. You forgot I moved you out of your apartment. We set up a new place for you, a group home in Reisterstown. You say it sounds okay. The social worker orders a taxi to take you there, but you never show, so you're missing again. Band. The golden years, a summer's day. Sundress, linen blazer, I'm happy, divorced. He's been sober 10 years. Cargo shorts and a guayabera shirt, curly gray hair, big belly, big smile. Before retirement, the strokes, the relapse. We're chowing on burritos in Fells Point, across the square from Shakespeare Street, where he grew up. We chat about the neighborhood, how he was banned from Mary's Polish Haven around the corner for stealing a gumball machine. In fact, he is still barred from there. It's written on the liquor license. So even though it's changed hands and names a dozen times since teenage Dad had taken the machine, as soon as I woke up and saw it in my room, I took it back, he said. Dad has been banned for life. He tells me the real reason was because the owner's daughter had a crush on him. Her mom called me the scourge of Fells Point. After lunch, we walk along the water, sun twice as strong reflecting off the harbor's skin, to what is now called One-Eyed Mike's, formerly Mary's Polish Haven. Inside, our eyes adjust. Dark din of wood has vacuumed up the light. Bartender. Hey guys, what can I get you? Me. Can I see your liquor license? Bartender, suddenly very formal. Yes, of course, ma'am. He thinks I'm with the liquor board and gets the license off the wall, hands it to me. You see that name, Tommy O'Dea? I point to Dad. That's him. The barman breaks into a smile. No way. Can I buy you a shot? According to the liquor license, he should kick him out. Dad, I don't drink anymore. A coffee? Now you're talking. Do you know the other guy on here? He fell off a stool at Grundy's bar, Dad said. Never the same after that. 5 years later, my ex-husband calls to say their mutual local coffee shop banned Dad when they discovered tiny baggies in the bathroom after he'd been there. The doctor tells me it's possible that from his strokes, he'd fried the impulse control center of his brain. When he wants something, he needs it immediately, whether it's drugs, coffee, hot dogs, eardrops. He's like an infant, all id and nothing else. I cling to that narrative and make it truth. I won't believe he's fallen off the wagon without cause. But it's possible that after retirement from 40 years of working on the docks, between prison sentences for theft and rogue and vagabond, he was simply bored. When I reach out to the charity, a 20-minute walk from Shakespeare Street, where he volunteered for almost 20 years to see if they would like their logo on our book for free, I'm notified that he's been banned from there as well. He lifted speakers, wine, and beer from their storage room after volunteering one night. The next day brought everything back except 2 beers. I laugh because his MO hasn't changed from his old gumball stealing days. If I include them in any way, they say, he might construe it as an open door and saunter back, act like he owns the place. New staff who don't know him could take his unpredictability as something else. The phrase boundary issues is used. The person at the charity who clarifies all this is the same one who years ago told me that when she got pulled over for drunk driving at 3 a.m., she called my dad because she knew he'd come and take her safely home, no questions asked.
That was so good.
Dear Dad, Mom says she's jealous you're getting a book and she's not. I get her point. She raised us on her own. I never knew you growing up. Sometimes I walk past homeless men in Fells and ask if they were you. She doesn't know that not having to write about her is the greatest compliment. It means that she's the opposite of stress. What I escape to, not from. I write the things my brain can't handle on its own. I get them down on paper, see them on the page, then wrestle them into a form I can control or I get overwhelmed. My stepdad has never hidden his disdain for you, for choosing drugs over your wife and kids. He married Mom when we were 8 and 11 and knew you never tried to see us our whole lives until you sobered up and we grew up. He didn't want you at my wedding at their house, but had to let you come. So as I pass him in the driveway, roll down windows to say hello, and he asks if you're okay, tears come. You have no clue how much it kills me, keeping you alive.